collusion. President Trump and his legal team are calling it an investigation into the investigators. So what's next for the members of Congress to look into? Joining us now, a member of the House Oversight Committee, Congressman Mark Meadows, and ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, Congressman Jim Jordan. And if you want to know why President Trump was able to sustain this fight, it was because of these two gentlemen had a lot to do with that. First off, individually, your reaction to the four-page conclusion that we all read yesterday. Jim?
Well, I think, remember four numbers, 19, 40, 500, and 2,800. 19 lawyers, most of them Clinton Democrat lawyers, 40 FBI agents, 500 search warrants, and 2,800 subpoenas over 22 months. And the findings come back and they say what? No more indictments coming, no sealed indictments, no collusion, no obstruction. This is as strong a statement as you could see. This is good for the president. More importantly, it's good for the country.
Yeah, we're going to roll the full screen in, and it's similar stats of 2,800 subpoenas, 500 witnesses, a cost of between $25 and $40 million. Mark, you talked to the president probably as much as anybody on the Hill. How much has this weighed down on him and affected him?
Well, I mean, it's weighed down on him from doing his job. I mean, you've got a president who loves this country, who's committed to this country, and yet each and every day there were lies after lies after lies told about him, you know, and some by in the media, but some by Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler, the same people that are going to try to switch the narrative and say, oh, well, this is not an exoneration. I can tell you it's a total vindication of the president, but it's not just for the president. It is indeed for the American people who trusted this president, who voted for him, and now can say to the mainstream media, you know, why have you lied to us for 2 years? It's about time.
Yeah, here is Jerry Nadler yesterday. He didn't miss his opportunity to go to the streets of New York, get heckled, and speak out.
We will ask the Attorney General to testify before the House Judiciary Committee. We will demand the release of the full report. The Attorney General's comments make it clear that Congress must step in to get the truth and provide full transparency to the American people.
So,
Brian,
as predicted.
You know, Brian, one of the big things, you hear Jerry Nadler there. If he wants to get to the truth, let's bring in Glenn Simpson, who started this with a fake dossier, who actually has claimed the fifth. Let's go ahead and bring in a lot of the individuals who put this false narrative out there. If we really want to get to the truth, let's be about the truth.
Brian, Mark's exactly right. 81 letters Jerry Nadler sent out because this wasn't the bombshell they hoped for. In fact, it was just the opposite, the Mueller report. So they're starting a whole new fishing expedition. 81 letters to 60 different people, but two key people he didn't send a letter to. He didn't send one to Glenn Simpson, and he didn't send one to Christopher Steele, the foreigner hired by the Clinton campaign to write the dossier that was the basis for this whole twisted deal.
Before I let you go, I want to bounce something off you a little bit different. The Investor Business Daily does this headline that captured my attention. It says, Obama, Hillary, and Brennan combined to take down Trump. And in it, they have this quote, James Clapper to Anderson Cooper, CNN. If it weren't for President Obama, we might not have done the intelligence community assessment that we did that set up a whole sequence of events that are still unfolding today, including special counsel Robert Mueller. President Obama's responsible for that. It was he who tasked us to do that intelligence community assessment in the first place. He was trying to credit Obama, but what in retrospect did he do?
Well, we do know, based on certain text messages and actually meetings that took place between the Department of Justice, the intel community, and indeed the White House, that there was an involvement at the highest levels of government. That being said, it requires further investigation to make sure that we do that we do not weaponize the intelligence community, the Department of Justice, or the FBI. And I know Jim and I are committed to getting to the bottom of it.
And I'm going to have one question, try to end on a positive note. Hakeem Jeffries, I'll paraphrase. He says, I am going to search hard to find common grounds to work with the president. Do you believe him, Jim?
Well, let's hope so. It doesn't sound like Mr. Nadler's looking to do that. It doesn't sound like Mr. Schiff is looking to do that. It doesn't sound like Chairman Cummings is looking to do that. So I appreciate what Mr. Jeffries has said, and hopefully we can find some common ground, deal with the crisis on the border, build the border security wall, do some things that need to be done to deal with our debt situation. Let's hope we can.
And by the way, that's what people are saying at home. They're over this Russian thing.
Yep.
They're talking about prescription drugs. They're talking about health care, and they're talking about immigration. Guys, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
All right.
Great to see you today. And the president really earns you a debt of gratitude for standing by him.
You've got these other investigations going on. Senator Lindsey Graham has told me he's going to do a deep dive. He's talked about all the people he wants to go down and testify, including those people who signed off on the FISA warrant to wiretap Carter Page. And then you've got Michael Horowitz. You think that IG report's going to be done in the next couple of months? Where's John Huber?
I don't know. I do know that Bill Barr has reoriented John Huber based on the work that he had been doing during the Sessions Department of Justice. My sources tell me that Bill Barr has spent some time with John Huber and redirected him on the FISA abuse issues, which are very real. Again, how was a fake, phony dossier that was unverified verified to the FISA court? That was the basis to spy on Carter Page, someone who wasn't charged with collusion, obviously. Again, all of these things go to questions about where was the probable cause to do all of that. These are things that we do need to be looking at. On the other side, a lot of my Democratic colleagues want to continue to investigate this matter. That is a bunch of garbage. If Bob Mueller, with the benefit of 19 federal prosecutors, 40 FBI agents, no limits in time, no limits in cost, no limits to his resources, couldn't find evidence of collusion or obstruction, how in God's green earth are Adam Schiff, Jerry Nadler, Elijah Cummings, and a bunch of House staffers going to find what he couldn't? Stop wasting our time.
Yeah, and money. $25 million spent on the special counsel investigation. Adam Schiff is still out there talking about collusion in plain sight, Congressman. Collusion beyond any shadow of a doubt, more than circumstantial evidence. It leads you to the question that must be asked: should Adam Schiff step down, given the fact that he has massively misled the American people for 2 years going, as has people like John Brennan, who went on CNN and said the president committed treason?
Well, the Democrats overplayed their hand here. They've dug a pretty big hole for themselves, and Adam helped dig that hole. I'm not going to be the one to take the shovel out of his hand at this point in time. I think the Democrats need to look at this. The chairman of the most coveted committee in the House, the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, is someone who accused the president of crimes, who said he had evidence of those crimes, who said he thought the president would end his first term in jail. His ability to govern the Intelligence Committee, his credibility in calling investigations going forward is very much in question. The Democrats need to take a hard look at that and hold their own people accountable. Will
they, though, Congressman? I mean, look, you are a federal prosecutor. Were laws broken?
Well, I was a federal prosecutor. I did allege crimes. I don't do that anymore. I will say this, based on everything I see, that I have seen, there is more than ample evidence for a grand jury to consider the conduct of people that were involved in these investigations into Donald Trump, whether or not their actions constitute crimes. They should be judged the same as anyone else, but that information should be presented to a grand jury, because very clearly, at a minimum, we have conduct that flies in the face of every protocol and procedure at the Department of Justice and the FBI, and I certainly hope that those steps are going to be taken by the current Justice Department.
And you're talking about people like Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, who were obviously biased in their texts about the president and who launched this investigation with no predicate. There was no evidence, no predicate to launch an investigation into Donald Trump and his campaign and potential collusion with Russia. Correct?
That is correct. And when the president ultimately, hopefully, declassifies some of the documents that I've had the benefit of seeing that the American people haven't, I think that'll be borne out for everyone to see, and it will be in plain sight.
And what do you think is going on in Jim Comey's universe or his mind to first write an op-ed over the weekend saying to the New York Times, oh, I don't really care what happens with the Mueller probe. Excuse me, you were the director of the FBI, so you knew darn well that it was flimsy evidence that you took to the FISA court to get a warrant to spy on somebody. You also knew darn well that you had the word from above, from the DOJ, who told you, yeah, you've got two investigations going on side by side, one about Trump, one about Clinton and her email investigation, but stay off of the Clinton investigation. We're not charging anything. Let's talk about that for a second. Was this Obama's DOJ politicizing all of these agencies and basically making the decision not to prosecute Hillary Clinton, even though the FBI wanted to charge her with gross negligence?
Well, to the first point about the op-ed that Jim Comey said he didn't care, people need to be reminded that Jim Comey's the one that created the special counsel. He's the one that launched that. So, I think that that's something very clearly that everyone needs to remember.